Hello, is screen visible? Okay. So we have completed the topic method overloading also. Okay. So today's topic is constructor, and after constructor we'll discuss about recursion. Okay. So what is a constructor? Constructor is a special type of method which has same name as its class name. Like we have methods. What is a method? So method is a block of statements which perform some specific task. So same as method, constructor is also a method. It is also a block of statements. You can also pass some data or arguments to the constructor. Okay. So why it is special? It is not a normal method. Normal method means like block of statements which we can call, we can pass data, which can return something. Okay. But constructor is also a method, but it is different, somehow different from a normal method. So that is why it is called special type, because it is somehow different from a normal method. So how it is different from a normal method? Suppose there is a class student. Okay? Void get data. Suppose we are passing here some data, int r comma string n. So role equal to r, name equal to n. Okay, let's have a live example. Java role equal to r, name equal to n. Void print data, small println, role plus new line, then name. That's all. So let's create object of this class. Student is equal to new student s dot get data 11 comma 40 keypad is the name. Get data means this is a method, and we are calling this get data method and passing two values. One is integer and second is string value. So this QWERTY keypad is assigned into n and 11 is assigned into r. So here classes, member data, role and name. So role is initialized with whatever we have passed here in this r, and name is assigned with whatever we have passed here in this n. Okay. It means role equal to 11, name equal to 40 keypad, right? Now there is a print data method. Just call it print data. Let's run this program. See 11, 40 keypad. So do you have any doubt in this program? Is there anyone who has any doubt in this program? Tell me. Anyone has any doubt, or it is clear? Tell me. Then we will continue. Hello.
No doubt.
Okay. Everyone tell me yes or no. Do you have any doubt, or this program is clear, like what we are doing here? Everyone.
Clear way.
Okay. So this is a normal method program. Okay. So this is normal method program. But what if we have like same variable name in method which we have in our class? Like here we have role and name. Suppose if you want to write role here, like meaningful variable name. Okay. So here we have to write this role equal to this role and name equal to name. So Java will be like confused. Like which role is this and which role is this? This role is this or this? Java will be confused. Okay. Which role is this? So suppose you have this kind of situation. Okay. Suppose you have this kind of situation that here you want to write or declare the same name which you have declared here. So what you have to do? You have to write this dot role equal to role, this dot name equal to name. This means this is a reserved keyword which always refers to the class's member data, not methods member data. Okay. This always refers to classes member data, not methods member data. This is called class variable and this is called local variable. Okay. These variables are like member data of a class. These are member data of this class and they are also called class variables because these are the variables directly related to class and these are method variables, or you can also say local variables. Local means they are local to this method. You cannot access this role and this name here, but you can access this role and this name inside the class. But whatever variable you declare inside a method, but whatever variable you declare inside a method can only be accessed inside the method itself. They cannot be accessed outside the method. That is why they are called local variables. Means they are local to the method where they are created. Local variable, class variable. You can also call instance variable. Okay. Class variables, instance variables which are declared inside the class. Local class variable, instance variable, and the variable which you declare inside a method is called local variable. So class variable can be accessed. Class variable can be accessed in the complete class, whole class, anywhere in the class. But local variables can be accessed inside, only inside the method in which they are declared. If you declare here, it is also local variable. If you declare here, it is also a local variable. It means inside the method, local variable, and in the parameter area, local variable. Both are same. Okay. They can only be accessed inside the method in which they are declared. But what about class variables? Class variables are accessed in complete class anywhere. See, in print data, we are printing role and name. Which role and name are used here? These role and name variables. Okay. These variables are we are using here. Okay. So what is this reserved keyword? This reserved keyword is used to refer to the class's member data or class variable or instance variable, not local variable. It means this dot role means class role equal to local role. Okay. It is also correct. See, 1140 keypad. Now, as we are discussing, today's topic is constructor. So constructor is also a method, but it is special type of method which has same name as its class name, and it does not return any value. Why it does not return any value? Because it is not called manually through object reference. Because it is not called explicitly or from object reference or from class name. Like a normal method we can call using object reference or using the class name if it is static. Okay. But constructor is a kind of method, it's a special type of method which you cannot call from its class name or any object reference. That is why it is not returning anything. It does not return anything because a method returns something when it is called. If you cannot call, like if suppose let's an example, train ticket. If we are booking a ticket from Delhi to Mumbai, okay, so you are going from Delhi to Mumbai, it means you may book a return ticket because you are going from Delhi to Mumbai, but you are not going anywhere. So what is there anything like related to returning? If you are not going anywhere, how you can return from there? But if you are going somewhere like from Delhi to Mumbai or Delhi to Kolkata, if you are going somewhere, it means you may return from there. But if you are not going anywhere, how you can return? So if a method is not called, so there is no any relation with its return type. If a method is called, then it may return some value. But if a method is not called, you cannot call a method. So how you can return from that? If you can call, you can return. If you cannot call, you cannot return. So constructors are not called manually or explicitly. They are not called manually. Manually is not correct. They are not called explicitly. They are only called when object of a class is created. After the creation of an object, constructor cannot be called. If we have created the object, so after the object is created, you cannot call the constructor. It is also a method, but it is a special type of method which you cannot call after an object is created. You can only call when the object is created. And it can also accept parameters or arguments. Okay. So constructor is a special type of method which has same name as its class name. So class name is student. Just write here student. These are also local variables. Okay. Now this is also a method, but it is a constructor which you cannot call like this. Here we are creating object. Here you can pass. That's okay. See, we have a student class. We have class variables role and name. We just want to initialize role and name with a method. So constructor, this is the constructor, and constructor is also a method which does not have any return value. Okay, and you can pass as a normal method. Like in a normal method, we can pass some value. Here also you can pass values. But this construct, this is a constructor. So constructor cannot be called anytime. It can only be called when an object is created of the specific class. So here we are creating object, and at the time of object creation, we are passing some data, and this is called. After creating object, you cannot call the constructor through this object reference like s dot student. It is not correct. Student dot student. It is not correct. So constructor is a special type of method which is called when object of a class is created, and then it is called never. So everyone tell me, is it clear or do you have any doubt in constructor? And it has no return value. Tell me, it is clear? Everyone?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Vishal, just a question. So when do we actually use define a constructor? Maybe
See,
any
if we
scenario
want
use
to
case?
initialize a class's member data, okay. So what we have to do? We have to create an object at first. Then through the
Mm.
object reference, we have to call the method to initialize those members. But there is an option, there is a like feature of constructor which you can use to pass values or to initialize member data of a class at the time of object creation. It means you don't need to call another method at one extra line, right?
Okay, okay.
If you have another method, so you have to call that method through this object reference. But we don't have three lines here. If you don't have constructor, suppose if this is void get data, so you have to write student s, new student, parenthesis open close, again s dot get data, pass this, again s dot print data. Okay, so this is the first difference. Second difference is what we have, like I have written here. Even if we don't define a constructor, there is a default constructor. Suppose we don't define any constructor. See, here we have no constructor. Still the program is okay. Sorry, int. So 11 QWERTY keypad. We don't have any constructor in this program. Okay, but still every Java program every class in a Java program has a default constructor which is non-parameterized. Non-parameterized means without any parameter, like we have passed two parameters. Okay, so without any parameter. So even if we don't define a constructor, there is a default constructor in each class. It means every class in Java program, doesn't matter how many number of classes you are like creating in a program. If you are creating 10 classes, student one, student, teacher, passenger, employee, you are creating n number of classes. So every class must have a default constructor. It is the default rule of Java. So here we don't have any constructor, but still you have a default constructor here. So what is the syntax of default constructor, which we have not created? The syntax of default constructor means the class name and nothing else. Just like this. This is the default constructor. Because without constructor, you cannot create object. Without constructors, without constructors or constructor, we cannot create any object of a class. It means to create an object of a class, we need constructor. Without constructor, the name meaning the name is meaningful. Like constructor, construct. It is used to construct object. Constructors are used to create objects, and constructors are used to create objects and initialize members of a class by taking parameters. By taking parameters. Okay. So we use constructor for two reasons. The first reason is to create object, and the second is to initialize members of a class by taking parameters. See, we can also take parameter here and we can initialize this. Okay. We can also take parameter into the constructor like a normal method parameter. Okay. So even if we don't have any constructor, even if we don't define any constructor manually, explicitly, there is a default constructor, and the syntax of default constructor is class name. That's all. This is the default constructor syntax.
So Vishal, so we had
Hmm.
to define this default constructor, or it is inbuilt that
It is
we.
inbuilt. You can also define, or if you don't define, see, we have defined it, still the program is okay. If you don't define it, still program is okay.
Okay, but still it has some default constructor underlying,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right.
Every class has a default constructor. Doesn't matter you define it or not, because without constructor you cannot create object. See, here we are calling the constructor, and which kind of constructor we are calling here? Non-parameterized. We are not passing anything here. Okay, we are not passing here anything. It means this is default constructor. We are calling default constructor. It means there is a default constructor which we cannot see. Okay. See, even if we declare define here default constructor, there is no problem. Still the program is okay. It is printing the correct same output. Okay. Now, suppose if we don't define any constructor here. Okay. So there is no any problem. If you are not defining any constructor here, there is no problem. Okay. Like method overloading, we can also have constructor overloading. Okay. Like method overloading, we can also have constructor overloading. Okay. See, student. This is non-parameterized constructor, and this is parameterized constructor. So if we are calling like this, non-parameterized constructor is called. Sorry, we don't have any constructor you cannot call through object reference. Okay. So suppose if we are calling here non-parameterized constructor and we are just printing the values. So what it will print? It will print the default value. Like roll is integer, default value of integer is 0. Name is string, default value of any string value is null by default. See, 0 null. And if you are calling 11 comma like suppose Vishal Singh, okay, just run it. Now it will call 11 and Vishal Singh. See, it means we have two constructors. Okay. So if like this is called constructor overloading. Okay. This is called constructor overloading. It means we have multiple constructor with the same name, but you have to have some differences in parameters, either number of parameters or type of parameters. So we have 0 parameter here. That is why it is called non-parameterized. We have 2 parameter here. That is called 2 parameterized or parameterized. Okay. Now the another thing is, suppose this is S2. Okay, student S1 equal to new student S1 dot print data. Okay, we are creating two objects here. The first object we are creating with the help of this constructor, non-parameterized, and the second object we are creating here with the help of two parameterized constructor. Okay, so when we are printing s1 dot print data, what it will print? It will print 0 and null, because we are not like initializing anything. Okay, and when we are printing, suppose s2 dot print data, it will print 11 Vishal Singh. See, 0 null, 11 Vishal Singh. Now tell me, this program is okay, or do you have any problem? Tell me, everyone. Tell me, is there any problem with this program?
No.
Okay. As this is the default constructor. Okay. Now the question is, what if we don't define the default constructor? So it is defined by default in a normal program. But when you define any constructor yourself, then you must have to define the default constructor. See, suppose if you run this, there is a problem. Constructor student in a class cannot be applied to given types. See, like this is the default constructor. We have not declared here the default constructor. See, if there is a default constructor, what we have discussed before, that this is an example of default constructor. So when we don't define default constructor, is it defined by default in every class? But when it is defined by default, when you don't define any constructor yourself. But if you define any constructor yourself, it is your responsibility to define all constructors yourself. Here in this program, we have two constructors, 0 parameterized, 2 parameterized. So you have defined 2 parameterized, but you have not defined 0 parameterized constructor. So what will happen? When you define any constructor yourself, you have to define every type of constructor. It will not do anything with any constructor. If you don't define any constructor, it is okay. It will define default constructor by default. It will define itself. But when you define any constructor yourself, it is your responsibility to define every constructor yourself. Otherwise, there is a problem with this line. It is saying you, what is this? We are not getting this type of constructor. So how we can create object of this type with this type of constructor? So if you define any constructor yourself, it means it is your responsibility to define every constructor yourself. Otherwise, there will be a problem. Now, everyone tell me, it is correct? Like, is it clear to everyone, or do you have any doubt? Tell me.
Vishal, just maybe
Yes.
my connectivity wasn't right when you were explaining that this dot right inside the constructor.
Mhm.
If you could just explain it, why is that this being used inside the constructor, just as a pointer, is it?
Inside the constructor means, I told that
This
like
dot
if
this
you
dot role is equal to role, and this dot name is equal to name we
this dot
define, right?
role,
Yeah.
yeah, this means
So what?
this always refers to the class's member data. We discussed this half an hour before
Okay.
in the method.
Yeah, yeah, right.
Like
But no, I
like
didn't have a
yeah,
connectivity that
if
time.
you write here R and N, there is no any. work with this. Still you can use this, no problem, but there is no need to use this, because this role equal to whatever we are passing here, and this name equal to whatever we are passing into this name. So we are passing 11 into R and Vishal Singh into N. So this role is initialized with 11 and this name is initialized with Vishal Singh. But suppose if we write the same name at the local variable which we have at class variable, so it will be confused, like which role is getting assigned with which role. This role is getting assigned with this role, or this role is getting assigned with this role. Now you have to make the difference using this. This dot role means classes role, not local role. This is the class role, this is the local role. Okay.
Okay, the class role is what we have defined after
This
the
dot
class
role
role,
means
right?
classes
Control
role.
string name.
Yeah, this dot
Ah.
role means classes role, not local role. It means we are initializing classes
Yes,
role
okay.
with this local role. If you write role equal to this dot role, it means this role equal to this role. And if you write this dot role equal to role, so classes role equal to this local role. Okay.
Okay, yeah. Thanks.
Okay. Now, what about default constructor and user defined parameterized constructor? This is parameterized constructor because we are passing two parameters, and here we are passing zero parameter. So zero parameter every class defines automatically. But when a class defines the default constructor automatically, when you don't define any constructor, but when you defined any constructor yourself, then this class will not define any constructor itself. You have to define every constructor. Like here we have defined two parameterized constructor. So for this, it is okay. But what about this? It is searching for this non-parameterized constructor. It is not getting any non-parameterized constructor here. That is why it is raising some error. Is it okay? Or any doubt? Tell me. If you don't define any constructor, then every class will define the default constructor itself. You don't have to define the default constructor. But when you define any constructor, then it is your responsibility to define every constructor, whatever you are using. If you are using non-parameterized, you have to define here non-parameterized constructor also. But what we have discussed before, this is the default constructor, and default constructor we don't have to define, because default constructor is defined by the class itself automatically. But when every class defines the default constructor automatically, when you don't define any constructor yourself, if you define any constructor yourself, it is your responsibility to define every constructor yourself. Now tell me, is it clear or not? Now it is right. See, but if you don't declare this, define this, it will be an error. So everyone tell me, is it clear, or do you have any doubt with constructor overloading also completed? This is constructor overloading. Okay. Tell me everyone, is it clear, or do you have any doubt?
Yeah, it's clear.
Okay. So as it is 9:52, so it is not possible to discuss with like a recursion topic. So let's finish today's class here. So we have completed so far method, constructor, method overloading, constructor overloading. Now there is only topic which is left, is recursion. After recursion, we'll be discussing inheritance. Okay, object-oriented concept. So that's all for today. And tomorrow we can also connect. So now everyone tell me that is it possible for everyone to connect tomorrow 10 a.m.? Tell me. As tomorrow is Saturday.
No, for me, maybe earlier 9 to 10 is okay.
Okay, because I have
10
like
is, or 8.
I have a different meeting at okay, now 8 to 9 p.m. 9 a.m. morning.
Yeah, 8 to 9 should be fine.
Venkatesh, Dibin, 8 to 9 a.m. Any problem?
No, sir.
I'm okay with that, Vishal. Thanks.
Tomorrow I might not be available in morning, Vishal, but I can go through recordings, no problem.
Okay, but like if you're not available, you can also connect in the evening. So
Yeah.
is everyone available in the evening 4 p.m.? Niveda, Divin?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I am available.
Okay,
Okay.
Divin is available. Niveda?
Yes, yeah.
Venkatesh, any problem? 4 p.m.
I'm okay with that. Yeah, fine.
बाकी लोगों का कोई प्रॉब्लम किसी को 4 बजे शाम को? ठीक है, तो
No.
कल 4 बजे कनेक्ट करते हैं. ठीक है, अभी के लिए इतना ही. कल 4 बजे कनेक्ट करेंगे तो शायद 6 बजे तक क्लास करेंगे. कुछ कल ज्यादा टॉपिक्स कर लिया जाएगा प्रैक्टिस, क्योंकि रिकर्शन इज वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट टॉपिक. ओके, रिकर्शन हम लोग क्लास भी करेंगे, प्रैक्टिस भी कर लिया जाएगा. तो चलो कल मिलते हैं. और कल सुबह में हमारा 8 से 10 क्लास है, ये स्प्रिंग बूट में जो हाइबरनेट जिसका है उसका. ठीक है, तो सुबह में 8 बजे हम लोग कनेक्ट करते हैं हाइबरनेट के लिए. बाकी कोर जावा के लिए विल कनेक्ट टुमारो 4 p.m. Okay, that's all for today.